Hi, I'm Steve Bowen from the crew of STS-132, and you're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, Atlantis, and a special good morning to you, Steve.
Good morning, Houston. It's kind of ironic, but I guess my work is starting. I've had my fun for the past few days since I've been up here, and now I got to do some real work. And I want to thank my family for picking such a great song.
You're looking from a camera across the station's truss segment at portions of the U.S. segment of the International Space Station and the Russian segment. Appropriately in the center, the newest module of the International Space Station. The MRM-1, the Rassvet module, the Russian word for dawn, installed on the station as a permanent component of the complex. It will serve as a docking port. It provides some additional extension as a docking port for future Russian visiting vehicles, such as the Soyuz spacecraft and the Progress resupply vehicle, a Progress you saw at the far end docked to the station as well. The remaining portions of the U.S. segment and the other international partners of the International Space Station in the far left. Extending toward the camera is the Columbus module of the European Space Agency, docked to the Harmony module. Harmony is a connecting node that provides 6 additional docking ports. It is mounted to the U.S. laboratory Destiny. On the far side of Harmony, portions of which you can see is the Japanese experiment module, the largest science laboratory of the International Space Station. It has a stowage compartment and also its own robotic arm. The contribution of the Canadian Space Agency, of course, is the high-tech Canadarm2, a 55-foot-long robotic arm used for multiple outside activities associated with assembly and maintenance of the station.
Atlantis Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Associated Press, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Atlantis Station for a voice check.
Atlantis Station for a voice check. Atlantis ISS, this is the Associated Press. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Is this Marcia?
Yes, it is. Good morning, everybody, from the Kennedy Space Center. I'm wondering if any of you have had a chance to peek into the new Russian module yet. How does it look?
Well, honestly, they're opening the hatch today. And Piers, do you know what time they're opening it?
They open it, they're filtering the air, and then they close the hatch gently. They close the hatch gently, and I think we're going to get a sneak preview in about an hour or so. Is that right? So we're hoping to go in there and raid the larder.
Well, for the commander, you must be very pleased with the way the mission has gone so far. If you could touch on that, and I was also wondering if you could give your best sales pitch for Atlantis to have one more flight.
Yeah, that's a good one, the second part. Yeah, to answer your first question, I am absolutely super pleased. The first EVA went well, and that was good because it had potential to not go well. And the MRM-1 install went perfectly, which, as you remember from our conversation, I was a little nervous about. And the EVA yesterday went better than anyone could have imagined, so we are now ahead on our EVA tasks. We got our primary mission objective accomplished, and we're all feeling pretty darn good. We're going to refocus again tonight when we put 2 spacewalkers back in the airlock and get through EVA 3 and finish up all of our tasks and hopefully take care of some extra tasks that we weren't really planning on, which would be good for our space station.
For Tony, I'm wondering how tired are your spacewalkers since you're the one in keeping track of them, and are they pretty pumped up for tomorrow's grand finale?
Yeah, they're not too tired. We wear them out during the day, and then we rest them up for a day, and then put them back to work. It works out a pretty good pace for them. They are geared up and ready to go. We're still working on gathering all the tools and the different tasks that we're going to execute. They got so much done on EVA 2. We're adding more to their plate, and we're putting that story together now.
For Piers, I'm wondering, have you had a chance to take out the piece of wood from Sir Isaac Newton's apple tree or his picture, maybe even had a little ceremony, a little pomp and circumstance?
I had a little dry run yesterday in the cupola, and Sir Isaac absolutely loved it, I got to tell you. We had him in the window, and he got to watch his little wood chip float by and ponder the laws of gravitation and everything, so I think it was a treat for him. And I'll do something on video later on for the Royal Society and for the National Academy.
You don't happen to have any of that there with you now, do you, that you could show us?
I'm afraid not. That was just a dry run. Someone else had a video camera, so it's just me and Sir Isaac. You'll have to take my word for it.
I believe you. And for Tracy, I'm wondering, Oleg talked the other day about seeing the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm wondering, have you had a chance to see it, and or maybe anybody else on the crew? What's your take on that?
Well, I wish I have had a chance to look out the window at just that appropriate moment, but unfortunately I haven't. But some of my crewmates, Suichi and also Oleg, have been taking pictures and marking the time when we come over that area. And I have to say that their report is, it's a bit heartbreaking.
And I'm wondering, for the shuttle crew, what do you plan to do with your big afternoon off?
You would throw the mic at me for that. Take a break and recharge our batteries, kind of like what Tony was talking about. We've been hitting it pretty hard these last few days, and I think we were all really tired. Some of us actually slept in a little bit this morning, which was really nice. And we get an opportunity to do some of the things you just mentioned, like look out the window, out the cupola, at the Earth, and see some of the more amazing sights that are down there, as well as some of the tragedies like the oil slick. It basically, all in all, it's a day to take pictures and make some memories.
Well, thank you, everyone, and Godspeed.
Atlantis ISS, this is Fox News Radio. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear.
Great. We're going to pause briefly to allow our affiliates to join our broadcast, and then we'll start. This is a Fox News Radio special, a live conversation with astronauts aboard Space Shuttle Atlantis and the International Space Station. I'm Eben Brown, Fox News Radio in Miami, and above us is Ken Ham, commander of Atlantis' mission, pilot Tony Antonelli, Piers Sellers, the mission specialist, and Tracy Caldwell-Dyson, a flight engineer from the space station crew. Welcome to the four of you. Good morning, and since we're on radio, I ask that you please identify yourselves each time you begin speaking, and to our listeners, please understand it's a long way between ground and space, and there will be a delay between question and answer. You're all part of something historic, and this is the very last, or likely the very last flight of Atlantis. What's it like to know that you'll be the last group to work with her, and how's she holding up?
Well, hey, thanks for having us on your radio show. This is Tony Antonelli. Atlantis is holding up great. She's a fantastic ship, and hopefully Commander Ken Ham here will have a flawless landing and won't absolutely dictate that it's Atlantis' last flight. And we'll let the program managers decide whether she's going to fly again. But she's holding up great. She's a beautiful ship.
And looking at your daily schedules, I see something on there called crew off-duty time. And what does exactly one do with their free time in space? And please, all of you take a chance to answer.
Yeah, this is Ken Ham. Off-duty time is the treasured part of the mission, where you actually get a chance to take some time and look out the window, maybe watch a whole lap around the Earth, and it's in those times where you really start to pick up on some of the subtleties of how the atmosphere works and the different parts of the world, how they're different, both naturally and how humans have changed it. And that's where some of the best memories are made.
On other missions, we know that you guys get a chance to look out the cupola, which is a recently installed big bay window. It's got to provide some great views. Can any of you see your hometowns, and have you been able to spot the oil spill in the Gulf?
Yeah, the cupola, this is Peter Sellers. Tracy and I have been sitting in the cupola for a couple of days working, and now and again looking down. It's like the belly turret on the station, this little glass bubble hanging underneath. And you can see the whole world float by. You can see it coming at you from one direction, go past underneath, and go away from you the other side. Just beautiful. Incredible. It's like being in an IMAX, except it's real. I haven't seen the oil slick, and I don't think anyone else on this crew has yet, but a couple of the station crew have seen it, and they say it's really large and a little sad.
Pierce, I'm glad you spoke up, because as the rest of us can tell, you're British-born and a NASA astronaut, and we're told that you have a special piece of wood that you carried up from Earth, and wondering if you could tell us about it and why exactly it's up there.
Yeah, I asked the Royal Society if I could fly something for them. That's the Royal Society of London, the oldest scientific society in the world, and I thought they were going to give me something like a medal or, I don't know, a little telescope or something, but they sent me a piece of Isaac Newton's apple tree. And that's the apple tree under which he was sitting when the apple fell off, and he said, I think I've figured out gravity. So I've taken this apple tree chip up here and a picture of Isaac Newton. This will give him something more to think about, I think, because it's floating around, it's not falling.
So the apple isn't hitting his head this time?
That's right. Isaac and the apple are just floating around the Earth inside the cupola, looking out the window.
Right. And for one of the four of you who is a long-term crew member on the space station, that would be Tracy Caldwell Dyson. You are about to get a voice-over IP telephone installed up there, we're told. That's got to make things a bit more interesting.
Well, currently we have a internet protocol phone that enables us to reach home and talk to loved ones anytime we have KU band and satellites lining up. And it's an extraordinary asset that we have. I think the shuttle crew also can vouch that when they're here visiting, it's a great part of the mission and an often used asset during off-duty time, as well as those brief moments you have in between activities. It's amazing that we're here, and it's a treasure that we get to share it with our family and friends back home.
You know, and with the shuttle program apparently ending, I'm sure you're all hearing the debates about how NASA will proceed, and obviously today's children will be tomorrow's astronauts. Do any of you have thoughts for the children who may want to have a future in space?
Well, this is Tracy Caldwell Dyson. I think it'd be important to hear from one of our shuttle crew members, but from my perspective, it's with our kids, and this dream will only continue if it's in their hearts too, and if they only realize that it's up to them to keep this dream alive, then I think that it will live on, because they need to realize that they're just as powerful as this program is today, and if they embrace it as we have to make it what it is today, then I pretty sure it'll be there tomorrow.
All right, well, thank you all very much. That would be Ken Ham, Tony Antonelli, Pierce Sellers, and Tracy Caldwell-Dyson, all aboard the Space Shuttle Atlantis and the International Space Station. Thank you for taking time with us. This has been a live conversation with those astronauts at the space station and the shuttle, which will likely be the final mission of Space Shuttle Atlantis. She's due to return to Earth next week, and there are 2 more flights of the shuttles left, each one for Discovery and Endeavour.
Station ISS, good morning. This is CBS News. How do you hear me? CBS News, how do you hear me?
You are loud and clear.
Glad to hear it. Good morning, everyone. It's Peter King in Florida. Bill Harwood is at JSC in Houston, and Bill's got the first question for you.
Yeah, hey, guys, it's great to see you, and I'd like to start with Ken Ham if I could. And Ken, since you're the one who's upside down today, you must have a unique perspective on things. So give me your view, the commander's view of how the mission's been going. You expressed some concern before launch about the complexity of it and how everything had to happen right on time, and it seems to have done that. So what's your assessment?
Yeah, Bill, good to talk to you again. As you remember from our conversation a few weeks ago, as I went through all of the intricacies of the operation that had to happen to get MRM docked and talking to space station, I started scaring myself talking to you and making sure that happened yesterday with the crew and everybody working together, everyone on the ground. Turned out to be absolutely fantastic. We were elated. I'm sorry, not yesterday, the day before. But the spacewalk we did yesterday was another difficult spacewalk, and the boys outside performed flawlessly and got us well ahead of our timeline. Everybody on board here last night, as well as our ground team, we had a nice conference with them yesterday evening. We were all absolutely thrilled at how this mission is going so far. So we're just going to stay focused and get through the next few days and hopefully call this one a good one.
Hey, thanks a lot. Let me ask one of Pierce Sellers, if I could, real quick. Pierce, you said before launch you were looking forward to robotic operations from inside the cupola, and I'm just wondering how reality has played out. Is it really that much better than the system you guys had before?
Hey, no question about it. Tracy and I have been sitting in this little glass bubble that hangs underneath the space station, and you can see everything. You can see big chunks of station. You can see the shuttle docked to one end, and the arm stretched out in front of you, and it makes it so much easier to figure out what's going on with the arm, which is like a big monstrous crane. You can actually see what it's doing and go and grab things with it, and much better than watching it all on TV, I can tell you.
It's Peter King back in Florida, and this is for Tracy, since you're the space station crew member here. You've just gotten a new Russian mini research module. You've opened up the hatch for the first time this morning. Tell us a little bit about that and what it's capable of doing, what you'll be doing inside.
I think the answer to that is yet to come. The Russian crewmates have just opened up the hatch and looked inside, and I went back to get an update, and it sounds like it's full of stuff, and not the least of which are hardware that must be removed before they can actually get to all of the goods that they're to bring out into the space station. So I think there's a little bit of work to be done before we can go in and start enjoying it and utilizing it for the laboratory that it's intended to be. But it's a great addition to the space station, and especially for our Russian segment. And I think that we can look forward to some relief in terms of stowage, as well as some extra space to do the very valuable experiments that we've brought on board.
Well, speaking of jam-packed, the first 2 EVAs have been jam-packed. For Tony Antonelli, since you're the spacewalk choreographer, you're already ahead on the battery installs. So what are some of the other things you hope that EVA can accomplish tomorrow?
Yeah, the only thing I hope they accomplish is back in safe. I kind of feel a little bit responsible for them when they're outside. The team, however, is trying to get a lot of extra work done, and so they're putting that list together right now. We've got some tools inside that we're going to go. So we're going to finish the last 2 batteries. We got a grapple fixture in the Atlantis' payload bay that we're going to bring inside to later install back on the Russian segment FGB. That's our regular plan tasks, and then some of the get-aheads are resupply some of the toolboxes that are outside. Basically, just like you would at home, you end up using all your tools, and they don't all end up right back in their slots in the toolboxes, so we're going to do some of that cleanup. We've got some ammonia jumpers to connect and a few other things that the ground team's putting together for us, and we'll spend the afternoon studying that up, so we're ready to do it tomorrow.
That's Bill Harwood again with a quick one for Tracy. And Tracy, what's it like to launch on a Soyuz? And how tough has it been, or maybe tough's the wrong word, what's it been like adjusting to life in space, full-time operations aboard the space station? Just wondering about being away from your family, the isolation, all of that.
Oh, well, it's hard to put all of that in a nutshell. I'll tell you that launching on a Soyuz is, I'd say, a bit different from launching on a shuttle. And not the least of which is the environment that you're in. Having launched on a shuttle and being in Florida and surrounded by all that is familiar, to launch and live in Baikonur for 2 weeks and also leave your home in Houston and family and friends months prior to that, really makes the mission start a lot earlier than the moment that the rocket lights. I can tell you that the Soyuz itself is a very robust vehicle, and it's very interesting the differences between a solid rocket like the shuttle launches with and the liquid engines of a Soyuz rocket. And the fact that the Soyuz actually hangs on its launch pad rather than bolted to it also creates an interesting sensation the moment of liftoff. And there's a lot more yawing involved in the launch, as well as more G's being pulled. The life on board the Soyuz is, of course, different than shuttle. You have much more cozy quarters, and but much fewer people to share that with. It's I could go on and on. The differences are very unique and very curious as well, but suffice it to say that it is a vehicle that I felt very safe in, and a ride that I'll never forget. Living on board the space station, I was warned by those who have come before me and spent many months here on station that it takes about 3 weeks to actually kind of feel your legs out, aren't under you anymore, and to start actually utilizing this place for what it is, a floating laboratory. But it's not until about the 6-week period, which I'm reaching now, where you actually feel like you got a handle on the place. And so, and I do feel a lot more skilled at moving around this very large ship than I did when I first got here, of course. And I'm in awe every day of what our countries have accomplished, and feel very privileged being here.
Well,
Thanks
Atlantis and ISS, thanks so much for some great answers this morning from CBS News. It's Peter King and Bill Harwood wishing you Godspeed and a safe rest of the flight. We'll see you when you're back here in Florida.
The crew has been working to open up the hatch between the brand new Rassvet module and the rest of the International Space Station. Right now you're seeing the layout of the station and its current configuration. They've reported that they've seen some metal shavings floating around inside MRM-1, and what it sounds like the crew was talking about was as they move things around inside this brand new module, that's when the shavings they saw were released into the environment. Oleg Kotov, the Expedition 23 commander, reported that those metal shavings are limited to the inside of MRM-1, or Rassvet. So the Russian flight control team has asked them to stand down from the remainder of the day's activities so that they can analyze it overnight and figure out what they want the crew to do. This is one of the reasons why the crew members, both Russian and American, and all the other international partners do wear protective masks and other items whenever they open up brand new modules. As we talked about yesterday, as you can imagine, anything that may be hiding back in those modules, whether it be dust or these metal shavings or whatever may be inside there, once you get up into space and if there's no gravity, all of that comes floating out. So that's one of the reasons why the crew members always wear masks whenever they first go into a brand new module and verify that the environment is acceptable. So the team here will take a look at it, as well as the team in Russia. They may simply ask the crew to use the onboard vacuum cleaner to suck up those metal shavings and to get them out of the station's environment. But other than that, the crew is enjoying some off-duty time now. They've had a very busy first half of this mission.